internet told me I should delete the TGVs from my Subaru.
Ooh.
Somebody there?
Hello?
Oh, Corey!
Whoa. Who's there? Hey,
It's
Ned.
me, Corey, the ghost of Subaru's past.
No, that's definitely a dirty mop. Hey, Ned.
Corey, heed my words! Heed my words about TGVs! It's not just a mop. I'm the ghost of Subaru's past.
It's definitely a mop.
Okay, look. Anyway, look, there's three really important things that you need to know if you're deleting the TGVs from your Subaru. One, how many cans of brake clean do you have, Corey?
0.
Pop quiz. How many cans of brake clean?
0.
That's not anywhere near enough brake clean, okay? If you're going to delete the TGVs from your Subaru, you're taking the intake manifold off, you're either cutting or drilling out the screws in those butterfly valves and removing them. You're going to create all kinds of metal debris. And the TGVs have had like oil and blow-by from your motor like flying through them for however many like thousands of miles you've been driving the car, so they're all sticky. That metal debris is going to stick all over everything, and you're going to need to remove that after you've removed the butterfly valves. When I did it on my car, I went through 4 cans of brake clean, and I actually wish that I had had more. So, like, however much brake clean you have, go back to the auto parts store now, buy twice as much. Like, clean them out of brake clean, because you do not want to be short of brake clean, or inject whatever, like intake cleaner, turbo cleaner, like whatever, you know, super ethanol evaporative spray for removing oil and gunk, because you do not want any bits of metal going into your motor. Zero bits of metal debris going into your motor. So that's my first important piece of advice. So that's 1 down. 2 of 3, remove your alternator. Okay, when I took the intake manifold out, I did it without removing the alternator, and it worked. There's the coolant temp sensor is down underneath the alternator, and I didn't find that until you know, I was like trying to lift the thing out, but I got it. But putting the intake manifold back in, getting that coolant temp sensor plugged in, I think I removed and reinstalled the alternator 4 times while I was reinstalling the intake manifold, because I thought that I had everything, and so I'd put the alternator back, and then I'd be like, oh no, I got to get to this dumb thing. Well, all right, got to remove the alternator again. It'll make everything easier and go more quickly. It's 2 bolts and 2 plugs. So just remove the alternator at the start, put it out of the way. So that's 1 and 2 down. So third thing now, not actually that important, but third thing, when you are doing the injectors, because you have to remove the injectors, before you take them out of the TGVs, look at the orientation of the plugs on them, okay? Because they, you know, they have little plugs for the whatever, the harness to plug into them. If you don't have them facing the right way, when you take them off, obviously they'll be facing the right way because they'll be plugged in. When you take them out and you reinstall them, if you install them with the plugs on the injectors facing in a different way, they may end up interfering with like the hardware from the TGVs, with the fuel lines that are there, with your AVCS hardware. Like, there's all kinds of junk on the intake manifold. So you don't want to put the injectors in a way where the plug is going to interfere with something and keep you from plugging the harness back into it. You don't really want to rotate the injectors once they're reattached and in the fuel rail, because if you do, you might tear one of the O-rings. And then when you start your car, it's going to just blow fuel everywhere, all right? And worst case scenario, best case scenario is that your car will then just be parked and you won't be able to drive it for days until you get replacement O-rings like I did. This is what my situation is now. Worst case scenario, it'll blow fuel everywhere, it'll set the car on fire, your car will burn up, you'll set the building on fire, the building will burn up, you'll burn up in the building. So if it's really worst case scenario, you could set the whole city on fire, everything will burn up, it'll create so much global warming, it'll melt the ice caps and everyone will be flooded. So don't do that. pay attention to the orientation of the plugs, and actually, before you do this whole thing, just order another set of O-rings. It's like $5. And then if you tear one, you can just replace it and like try again to put the injector in instead of having to wait several days before you can like start the car and see whether you messed anything else up. So just order a fresh set of O-rings for your injectors, and make sure you get the plug orientations for the harness right, because otherwise you'll have to take everything apart again. And that's it.